Welcome into the state championship edition of the High School OT postgame show presented by Alpaca Peruvian Chicken. Eva Moesta here alongside Joel Bryant live from Lawrence Joel Veterans Memorial Coliseum here in Winston-Salem. Year 3 here in Winston-Salem for the basketball state championships, and we just wrapped up day number 1. We had 4 state champions crowned, the 1A classification and the 8A classification. The last 2 in 8A were some thrillers. I think we're going to start there, Joel. Man, 2 very similar games, both involving the Hoggard boys and girls going up against teams from Charlotte. They both ended in wild fashion. Let's start with the one that we just saw, though, the girls' game. 8A Girls State Championship. Overtime, it's a victory for Mallard Creek over Hoggard. Hoggard has to battle back, fight back, force overtime, and then once the game goes into overtime, Mallard Creek, without its starting point guard, Kiara Anderson, didn't matter. They persevere. A 49-45 win. Myasia Young gets a wide-open layup with about 20 seconds left in the game. And that ends up being the difference in this one, Joel.
Yeah, it was very eerily similar to the boys' game, which we'll get into. Young kind of stuck behind the defense, got open. It was a good pass from, I believe it was Sydney McGuire that threw that pass down low. And she stuck behind the defense and got kind of a nice, easy tip in. And, you really hate it for the Hoggard girls because that's a team that's kind of been consistent. They've been here countless times now. First time they actually got to the state championship game, and good senior class for them. They go home, or they're going to graduate without a state championship. That's a tough one for Hoggard, but well-deserved for Mallard Creek. They had gone to 6 regional finals and had not won one until last week. That's perseverance right there, so it's a well-deserved win for that program.
Yeah, the Hoggard program had been knocking on the door. They had made it to the regional final the last 2 years, came up short. They break through this year. And as Joel, you mentioned, they have a great senior class that they're graduating. They were led in scoring tonight by 16 from Tristan Shivers. I thought Avery Fitzgerald and Airlie Altman shot the ball incredibly well for Hoggard. They were the one who kind of kept the Vikings within striking distance until that fourth quarter, and then it was Shivers who was able to kind of force the tie and send that one into overtime. Some key missed free throws, though, down the stretch for Hoggard in this one. I believe they missed 7 free throws in the game, and it just felt like those were big kind of misses for Hoggard in that one. But back to Mallard Creek, you mentioned Sydney McGuire. She's the one who makes the pass that leads to the eventual game-winning basket. I thought McGuire played so well tonight for the Mavericks. 8 points, 2 of 3 from 3. It felt like both of those threes in the second half were very clutch. She has the 2 assists. But the girl on the receiving end of it, Myasia Young, a double-double, 11 points, 14 rebounds. She's going to Western Carolina. She's kind of a Swiss Army knife a little bit for Mallard Creek, and she just got left open on the back end of the defense. But she and Camry Hobbs, I thought, stole the show, Joel.
Yeah, I thought it was a well-defended possession to start. I think they were pretty attached to what they were supposed to be doing at first. There was I think in total a 29-second possession. There was a timeout in between there, but I think for the most part, they were actually holding up. Just those last couple of seconds there is where they lost her. And you're right about McGuire. Her stat line won't wow you, but all those stats came in critical moments. It just felt like when they needed her, she did something. And
I mentioned the 7 missed free throws for Hoggard. Only 2 missed by Mallard Creek in this one. Camry Hobbs, 17 points, 5 of 12 from the field. She hit 1 massive 3. It was her only 3 attempt. She actually caught it in the corner and
down here in the
thought about it for a really long time. And I was like, you know what? I'm so wide open. I'm going to shoot it. And she makes it. It's a huge game-tying 3 for Mallard Creek in this one and late in the fourth quarter. She ends up
one of the ones where
MVP.
Yeah, it was one of the ones where she was so open and then still no one ran out at her. And so it's kind of one of those things where, all the attention's on her, and she was able to lock in there and make the shot.
17 points tonight for Hobbs, 8 boards to go with that. Kiara Anderson, again, 9.7 rebounds, 2 assists in this one. She fouls out in the fourth quarter. What does it say, Joel, about this Mallard Creek team that their starting point guard, who they've leaned upon so much over the last 2 years, she fouls out late in the fourth quarter, and they still persevere through?
Yeah, and it's something that we actually see kind of not regularly, but we've seen it before where an important player leaves in overtime. And I think the team can use that as a rallying point. They know their backs are against the wall. It's kind of a situation where they can really just leave it all out there, right? When they know they don't have her, maybe take some risks that you wouldn't take normally with her there. So you've seen it happen before, but it's still a testament to the depth that they have, of course.
Again, final score in the 8A Girls State Championship that just wrapped up here in Winston-Salem. It's Mallard Creek 49, Hoggard 45, the first state championship in school history for the Mallard Creek girls program. Congratulations to the Mavericks. All right, the game before that, Joel, really kind of set the tone for these wild final two games. It was West Charlotte defeating Hoggard 70-68 in the 8A boys game. West Charlotte did not take the lead until the final 0.6 of a second left. That is the only time that they led this game. And it was a Sean Johnson layup in the final moments of this one that finally sets the Lions over the top. They have their 7th state championship. Joel, that game was incredible.
It was, and it was another really good pass this time from Kahari Coleman. He really zipped it in there. He was outside the arc back here, and he zipped it in there kind of backhanded almost, and it went perfectly to Johnson's hands, and he had a quick tip in. It was one of those ones where it was so close to the buzzer that everyone thought the game was over, and people were running onto the court. We saw this last week with the Central Davidson-Salisbury game, and it turns out there was 6.6 seconds left. Of course, that wasn't enough time for Hoggard to get something, a really good look at it. The pass was intercepted when they tried to inbound it deep into play. But yeah, so West Charlotte trails the entire game. They go down 17-2 to start the game. They trail the entire game
20-3 at one point.
Yeah, it was also 20-3.
Wild.
And they trail the entire game. And we were making the comparison. This was very similar to another Wilmington school last year. New Hanover got big on North Mecklenburg in the 4A state championship, which was the equivalent to 8A this year. Hoggard, I think, when West Charlotte made its comeback, I think Hoggard withstood it better than New Hanover did last year. New Hanover kind of crumbled, frankly, when the pressure got on them last year. But Hoggard stayed with it. Even after they gave up the lead, they still built a lead back up. There were times when they were leading still by 8 or 6 or 5 points late. Yeah, that's a really tough way to go. And Evan, I think that you saw this as well. Hoggard possessed the ball really well all game, but there were a few possessions, I want to say, in the back half of the fourth quarter where it just seemed like there was just this run where they couldn't hold on to the ball. West Charlotte made some calculated risks, and they had some steals and turned into buckets on the other end.
Yeah, Coach Queen kind of opened up his press conference saying he wished he would have had 2 or 3 possessions back in this one. Obviously, that ends up being the difference, and I think that's what stings the most for the Vikings is when you lose a game like that you led for, practically 32 minutes. At that point, you're kind of looking around and saying, like, what could have been, what could have changed in different spots and whatnot. But yeah, Hoggard, they lead by as many as 17 there in the first quarter, but it felt like West Charlotte just slowly started creeping back into the game. And there was a point with 5 minutes, maybe even 4 left in that one. I was like, okay, West Charlotte's pressure is starting to give them a couple of problems. And it was really a matter of, could Hoggard get to that point of the game where it was going to be free throws from there on out, and they had a 2-possession lead. And they just simply couldn't hold for that like 2-minute window there, which is a credit to West Charlotte, their athleticism. Kahari Coleman, 17 points. He was quiet for most of this game. He finishes with 17, earns MVP honors, has the game-winning assist there. But
4 assists for him tonight. And again, it was a heck of a pass. That last pass.
Oh my gosh, he zipped it right over top of the defense to Johnson there on the backside. But yeah, I think Hoggard knew West Charlotte was going to make that run. I just think they were hoping by the time it was going to be too little too late, and it was just enough time for West Charlotte to come back. Also, I want to give a lot of credit to Ja'Kai McManus-Wade. Double-double for West Charlotte, fouls out of the game in the fourth quarter, but he goes for 12 points, 10 boards in that one. And he kind of kept them there.
I think for Ja'Kai McManus-Wade, I think it took Hoggard a long time to get used to what he was bringing physically. He basically set the tempo. He initiated a lot of contact. He was like, listen, I'm the toughest guy out here. I'm going to move people around. I'm going to move you off your spot. And he did that the entire game. And it took Hoggard a while to kind of get used to him. And he finished with 12 and 10. But I think, his impact went beyond those numbers. I think that he was a tone setter for them tonight. And he does foul out towards the end. But West Charlotte, again, another deep team that can still pull it off without who I think was their best player most of the night.
Yeah, 4 in double figures tonight for the Lions. Carter Sullivan comes in, gives really good role minutes. 12 points for him. Chacho Womack had 13 points. He had some really big baskets in that comeback there in the fourth quarter. Before moving on from this game, had it not been for that last play, we're sitting here talking about just the incredible state championship performance of Hoggard Jr. guard Hunter McGrath, who I think really kind of showed tonight how good he is on a big stage. He's not always the lead guard. He's not always the primary ball handler for Hoggard. Sometimes he's in that shooting guard, in that scoring position for him. But tonight, Brett Queen needed him to do everything he could, and McGrath goes for 27. He had 20 at the break, but he made some incredible shots that gave Hoggard the opportunity to be in that game.
Yeah, and Hoggard also was some foul trouble of their own with Seward getting his fourth foul in the third
McGrath
quarter.
had a little bit of foul trouble as well. I think
he did. Yeah, and we should mention with this game, there was also a situation where there were free throws that Hoggard could have had towards the end that would have made potentially the outcome a lot different. Potentially, he could have gone to overtime with some free throws. It's those kind of things where, towards the end of the game, all those free throws he practiced during the summer and the fall and then the winter during the week, it's not the same when you're out here in a state championship with that depth perception and then all the pressure. It's a little bit different.
Yep. Again, West Charlotte picking up a win 70-68 tonight in the 8A Boys State Championship. Congratulations to the Lions. Again, that's their 7th state title in 10 tries. This is the third different time that West Charlotte, third straight state championship for West Charlotte, that's coming in a different classification. They've won in 4A, they've won in 3A, they've now won in 8A. So congratulations to West Charlotte there as well. We're going to take a quick break here on the High School OT postgame show. When we come back, we're going to talk about 1A action that involved state championship wins from Vance Charter and Wilson Prep. You're watching the High School OT postgame show presented by Alpaca Peruvian Chicken.
Are you craving chicken? Download the Alpaca Peruvian Chicken app to gain access to exclusive offers and earn rewards by eating the food that you love. New members who sign up will receive a free entree. Again, that's the Alpaca Peruvian Chicken app. Taste their legendary flavor and homemade pride at 18 locations across the Triangle, Fayetteville, Mebane, Wilmington, Sanford, and now Wilson. You can visit them online at alpacachicken.com and catch the Alpaca Chicken Game of the Week on highschoolot.com.
Get the Triangle sports leader anytime, anywhere with the new app from 99.9 The Fan. If it's live on The Fan, you can listen on the app. Plus, all your favorite podcasts at your fingertips. Download the 99.9 The Fan app today.
Raising kids is a roller coaster. Sometimes you laugh, sometimes you cry. But most times you wonder how your kid turned out so well. That's how. You did the hard work, made the right decisions, like talking about alcohol before it could be a problem. Go to talkitoutnc.org. Get resources on how to talk about underage drinking. So Mom, Dad, keep up the good work. It's worth it. Talk early. Talk often. Talk it out, NC.
Welcome back to the High School OT postgame show, State Championship Basketball Edition, here from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, presented by Alpaca Peruvian Chicken. Live from Lawrence, Joel, with Evan and Joel here. Let's break down some 1A State Championship basketball. Let's start with the girls. Wilson Prep picking up a 58-44 win over Robbinsville tonight. It was a matchup that we saw in the football state championship between these two programs. But Wilson Prep, their first title on the girls' side. The boys have obviously, put together some history over the last half decade, but now the girls have theirs. They end the year on a 25-game winning streak. They really start to pull away in the fourth quarter of this one, win at 58-44. I think before we dive into the game, a 25-game win streak for this Wilson Prep team, they had a stretch to start the season where they lost 3 straight games. But those 3 losses were 2A West runner-up Bishop McGuinness, 5A East runner-up Rocky Mount, and 8A state runner-up Hoggard that we just saw. Those were their 3 losses. After that point, they went out the rest of the season, and now they have the state title. That run in the fourth quarter, I think Robbinsville got within a point, and then Wilson Prep goes on a 12-0 run and just buries them the rest of the way. I was really impressed, Joel, by how well the athletes of Wilson Prep played down the stretch. Paris Best 21, and then the game's MVP, my Angel Brimage, had 11 points. But gosh, did she stuff the stat sheet and really alter the outcome of this game.
Yeah, she finished with 11 points, 16 rebounds. We think she's about 6'3", Evan. She's really tall.
Sophomore, yep.
Yeah, and also her wingspan as well. I think her wingspan is probably 6'5", 6'6". And she uses her length very well. She had 16 rebounds. She was credited with 5 blocks, but I'm going to tell
I
you,
think it was
she
more
had
7
more
or 8.
blocks. She had more blocks than 5 blocks. The stat people do a good job here. A lot to keep up with, but she definitely had more than 5 blocks. She was dominant on both ends of the floor. And it just really came down to Robbinsville just did not have someone like that, which most 1A programs do not have, to be fair to them. And she was dominant. There wasn't anything she could do, or the Robbinsville could do with her. She used her length well. I think she's going to be a definite Division I player. We'll probably be seeing offers coming for her over the next couple of years.
Yeah, after her performance in the 1A regional final, we were trying to look it up during the game and just confirm like who all's been interested. But being able to play out in Greenville at Minji's last week, ECU offered after they pulled off their 1A East regional championship victory. So yeah, she's definitely making an impact there. Also, Paris Best was kind of just steadied the ship. 21 points leads the way for Wilson Prep in this one. And really, it was a close game. Credit to Robbinsville because, I think on paper we look at this and we're like, okay, Wilson Prep might run away with this game. But it was a 4-point game at the half, and it was a 6-point game going to the fourth quarter. The fourth was really, where I guess the Black Knights ran out of some steam.
Yeah, I think they struggled with Robbinsville's zone. It was a basic 2-3 zone, and Wilson Prep just frankly could not shoot from outside all night. They were 1 for 18 from 3 all night. That 1-3 came from Paris Best. So Robbinsville, I think, slowed them down a bit with that zone, and they couldn't shoot their way out of it necessarily. And I think that when things started working for them is when they actually just started penetrating the gaps in the zone. Sometimes they were just there, just kind of watching it and trying to pass around it, but you can still penetrate the gaps in the zone, especially with the athletes that they have. And once they started doing that, things started rolling for them.
3 in double figures for Robbinsville tonight, led by their most outstanding performer, Abby Ware, who had 11. Again, Best with 21, Brimage with 11, and then Chloe Murphy with 10 on the Wilson Prep side. That's a 58-44 win for the Wilson Prep Tigers. And then the game that kicked things off this morning, or I guess I would say afternoon at noon, was Vance Charter. Their boys picking up a win over Thomas Jefferson. That one wasn't particularly close, 79-54 the final there. But everybody on a statewide scale got the opportunity to look at Vance Charter senior Gary Wilkins, who, we talked about how my Angel Brimage stuffed the stat sheet for Wilson Prep. How about 23 points, 14 rebounds, 2 blocks, 4 assists, 2 steals for Gary Wilkins in the state championship. He's the MVP for Vance Charter.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if he had more than 2 blocks as well. He was doing everything. The thing that stands out to me is just the efficiency. 11 for 13 from the field. That's always really hard to do. And this is another situation where, Thomas Jefferson, they just did not have someone like Gary Wilkins. Gary Wilkins, we think, is 6'6", and he's big, right? He's 240. He's a big guy. He's strong, and he's fast for his size. He's really nimble on his feet. I was surprised to hear from you that he didn't have any college opportunities. I guess that's just the way things are now. To me, there at least should be a Division II program that has to be interested in that.
He would be incredible in the CIAA.
Yeah. So really good performance for him. Again, it's just for Thomas Jefferson. It's hard when you're in 1A, then you encounter a 5-player like Gary Wilkins or my Angel in the other game. It's just they're not too frequent, and that's basically what it came down to. Is they just did not have an answer for him down low.
And I thought it was the other players on the floor for Vance Charter that really helped Wilkins be so efficient. Again, 11 for 13, as Joel had mentioned there. Yeah, they couldn't stop him, but the way they were getting him the ball in his spots, I think stood out. Colin Hughes, only 3 points tonight. He gets that 3 late in the game, but he dished out 10 assists. I think that kind of speaks to the way Vance Charter was able to get into the teeth of the Thomas Jefferson defense and move guys around and finally kind of get the look where Wilkins was sealing a guy or Wilkins was cutting across the defense and they could hit him right around the rim for an easy basket there. 4 finishing double figures for Vance Charter tonight. Langston Turrentine had 15, Nick Pentoni had 14, and Kenyon Richardson had 14. So it was just really balanced across the board for the Knights.
Yeah, and credit to Colin Hughes. He came back from some tough health circumstances. If you're on our site now, HighSchoolOT.com, you can search his name. You'll find a story that WRL did about him and what he kind of went through to come back and play this year. And with 10 assists, that's a very awesome achievement for him in the state championship.
I also think very impressive that Vance Charter wins the way that they do today, 25-point victory in the state championship. Last week when they played in the regional final out in Greenville, they were down by 18 points in the second half, late in the second half. The final moments of the third quarter, they're down 18 to Southern Wake, and then they just go on this torrid run. And next thing you know, you look up at the clock, it's almost at zeros, and they have the lead. And so to ride that momentum, get into the state championship game, and eventually hoist what is the first state championship for any program in Vance Charter history, in school history. Very cool. I also think a very interesting kind of underlying storyline of that victory to open up the day was Vance Charter head coach Teron Downey. The name sounds familiar, and this gym looks familiar. That's because he won a lot of basketball games here playing for the Demon Deacons back in the early 2000s. He was in that.
Played with someone whose numbers hanging up there.
Yeah, a couple coaches up there, a Chris Paul maybe that he played with as well. But yeah, for Chris Paul, Skip Prosser, Teron Downey, I think that was very special. And, he said after the game how much it brought back memories. And he kind of had a moment where he was like, man, who would have thought that you would script it this way, where he was coaching Vance Charter to a state championship and able to do it in this arena.
Yeah. So look, the elephant in the room here is going to be the charter schools today. The charter schools won both 1A championships. I think that in this new era, this new 1A through 8A, the charter schools that stayed down at 1A in the East have been consistent in basketball for a while. And I think that as long as it stays like this, it's going to be something where the East is going to be continuing to send out these charter schools to state championships. And they're going to be hard to beat in the foreseeable future.
Again, that is a 79-54 victory for Vance Charter in the 1A Boys State Championship. So those were our 4 state champions today. Congratulations, Vance Charter, Wilson Prep, West Charlotte, and Mallard Creek for taking home titles. We shift over tomorrow to 2A and 6A. The action gets going at noon in the boys 1A or 2A state championship. That's where Queens Grant will face off against Warren County. After that, in the 2:30 game, that's in 6A. That's going to be the Northern Guilford girls up against Terry Sanford's girls. Again, that's at 2:30, 6A state championship. The 5 o'clock one will be Cherokee and Pamlico County. At 5, I expect this place, as it has been the last couple of years, to be packed out and nothing but Cherokee gold for the Lady Braves. And then the finale tomorrow night at 7:30 here at Lawrence Joel is the 6A Boys State Championship, and that is Kings Mountain, a 12 seed. You heard that right, a 12 seed, still alive in this one, facing off against top-seeded Northern Nash.
Yeah, excited for those 6A games. Not really sure what entirely to expect in both of them. Those are 2 of the hardest games for us to pick this week, I think. So those are going to be treats tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think in the 2A, if you haven't seen already, if you're a high school OT insider, you can go see our picks. I did not do too well today, but you can see our picks for this week, and we kind of gave a little bit of a confidence rating to how confident we were in our picks. Spoiler, we were very confident in Queens Grant and Cherokee in 2A. So who knows how that'll go tomorrow. But yeah, that's the action. 2A and 6A will tip off. Once again, we'll have full coverage of that on High School OT. If you want to read anything about all 4 games that happened today, if you want to watch highlights, look at photos, listen to press conferences. Joel, there are some great press conferences that you sat in today. You can get all of that on highschoolot.com right now.
Yeah, watch the Hoggard girls for sure. That was a nice emotional one, and I really feel for those girls, those 3 seniors that were up there. And Coach Bobakar, he's a treasure, and he just kind of wears his heart on his sleeve, and that's a very good one to watch if you like high school sports. It reminds you of what this is all about.
Yep, he truly kind of put his heart out there, and it shows you how it's so much more than just basketball, and it's the relationships that these coaches and these kids have with one another through this journey. And obviously with Hoggard, it's resulted in 3 straight trips to this venue over the last couple of years. So yeah, you can go on highschoolot.com, check out all of that, look at the matchups, look at the start times, and find more information for the rest of the week. You can also look at ticket information and things of that nature. If you want to come on out here to Winston-Salem, some great basketball still in store. But for Evan Weston and Joel Bryant, we're going to wrap this thing up here. We'll join you tomorrow night after the 2A and 6A games are final to break down all of that action, courtesy of our partners at Alpaca Peruvian Chicken. But we're going to let you go here on the High School OT State Championship postgame show. But one more message from our friends at Alpaca.
Alpaca Peruvian Chicken is great at office lunches, team lunches, tailgating, and football games. Place your next catering order at Alpaca so you and your friends can enjoy the best rotisserie chicken in the area. Taste their legendary flavor and homemade pride at 18 locations across the Triangle, Fayetteville, Mebane, Wilmington, Sanford, and now Wilson. Alpaca Peruvian Chicken, home of North Carolina's favorite chicken and a proud supporter of high school OT and teams across the state.
Get the Triangle sports leader anytime, anywhere with the new app from 99.9 The Fan. If it's live on The Fan, you can listen on the app. Plus, all your favorite podcasts at your fingertips. Download the 99.9 The Fan app today.
Your child pours their heart and soul into their dreams.
You're so ready for this.
But underage drinking can stop a young mind and body from performing at its best.
Okay, everyone, it's time.
We're ready.
Make sure your star keeps shining. Start the conversation about the dangers of alcohol with tips at talkitoutnc.org.